What's going on, guys? My name's Sam, I'm from Pioneer DJ, and we're down here at Gear4music, and I'm going to be showing you the Toraiz Squid in a 3-part video. So first things first, what I'd like to start off with is talk about my setup here and what I've got coming into the Squid. So we've got the SP16, Toraiz SP16, we've got the Toraiz AS1, we've got the Korg Volca keys, and then we've got the Korg mini log. So the beauty of the Toraiz Squid is it's going to be the heartbeat of your studio. Therefore, your modular gear, your MIDI gear can all come straight into the Squid, where it can be then sequencing external equipment. So how I've set this up is you've got MIDI in, MIDI out, and MIDI out to or through. I've got MIDI out straight into my SP16, and that's then going through to my AS1, which is then going through to my MIDI log. So it's very basic MIDI chain. And then out of MIDI 2, just to show you guys that it can be done, is going straight through to my Volca keys, where I'm guessing this may be in the future going to be a bassline, or this may be my chords, this may be my bassline, and the SP16 is going to be used for my drums, who knows. So I think what we'll start out with is taking a look at the connections at the back. So I've just mentioned that we've got the MIDI in, we've got the MIDI out, and we've got the MIDI out to or through. We've also got a USB. So for example, if you'd like to use this within a DAW, say Ableton, if you'd like to send clock from Ableton to fire off all this equipment, that can be done through the USB. Then you've got your clock in and out for your CV Gate 1 and CV Gate 2. And then you've got DIN sync in and out. So quite a wide range. It's pretty much got everything for your external hardware for this to sequence it. So what we're gonna do is I've already selected global and I've created new, which then will send my 16 steps here, my 16 pads here to control external equipment. So I think track 1 to 8, or it could be 9, is gone through to my SP16. I've selected on my AS1 a certain channel, which is channel 16. Korg mini log has gone to channel 15, and my Korg Volca key has gone to channel 14. So what I'm going to mainly be focusing on in this video here is this select section here. There's further videos to come with different sections that's going to explain what the Squid can do for you. So if I select track, I'm going to select my first kick drum, which is taken from the SP16. Select one, and I'm just going to go to scale mode just to get a scale. Obviously that's quite high for a kick drum. So I'm going to select in the melodic control, just give it a scale here. You've got up to 4 16 scales you can use here. And I'm going to go down a couple of octaves. Or up, yeah, perfect, that's how I like it. So when we go to trigger mode, it's now using the sequencer. So I'm just going to trigger 1 to 4 here. Very simple, and now we've got the kick drum going. Go back to track. I'm now going to pick probably a hat. I like the sound of that, so I'm going to go back to my trigger mode here to trigger some hats in. And then let's take a look at a clap. Click the record function here, so you can either go to the trigger mode and trigger these in, or you can record it in. So if I go back to scale mode, that's the key I want it in. If I click record and press play, I just have to touch the pads. Take record off. Also remember to take record off, because I'm the worst for it by triggering something and record's turned on. So that's what we've got so far. Very basic. Let's go back, let's take a look at some percussion. So I've got some percussion running on pad 7 here, and I've added a delay using the SP16 for this. Again, just use the record function with the scale mode. Let's take a look at some other stuff. So we've got on track 12, very basic, but it's all going to come together now, I think, if I put a fill into it. Okay, good. Now we've got the basics of a drum beat, should I say. I'm not going to add a bass line just yet because I haven't decided which unit I'm going to be using to do the bass line. What I will say is we're currently running on one page, which means 16 bars. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my clap, which is track 13, and I'm just going to solo that out by going to track mute, holding shift, and you can solo out there. Again, this is running on page 1, so I'm going to move this over to 4 pages. Which means now when we go to our trigger mode, it'll trigger the first page, but there's nothing on page 2, 3, and 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold copy, and I'm going to copy that step there, and I'm just going to paste this down. And then sort of on the last one, I'm going to add just a nice fill there. So now it's running 4 pages, which means it'll run 64 steps. Oh, that one's a little out there. I'm going to bring that down. So I'm glad that's just happened. So on my final step here, it's gone to a different pitch. So all I've done is held down the step, and by using my encoder here for pitch, I've brought the pitch back down. So let's bring our elements back into the track. And we've got that nice clap fill on the end there. I'm going to do the same with the kick drum. Go to the kick drum, go to trigger mode, and I'm going to open up 4 pages for this, which means it'll run a 64-step sequence. Copy that, and I'm just going to paste this down here. But I'm also, again, going to go to page 1. I'm just going to create a nice fill. Good. Now, so let's start bringing in a bass line. I think we've added enough drums there for our track. So again, this is running through channel 16, my AS1. I'm going to select track 16. Unmute first. Select track 16. And there we have it. So whilst in scale mode, I've given it a scale. And you'll notice the colours are now changing, which means whenever you press one of these, it's going to stay in key. So if I go to hold T is one I use often. Get it down to the correct key, octave should I say. Good. Now I'm going to press play. Oh. Sorry, I do apologise. Go to my trigger mode. I've already put some triggers in previously. Go back to there, and I'm going to go to scale, and I'm just going to play along with the track itself. Very basic, but my strengths aren't with recording things that way. I like to be given some options and some ideas, and this is the beauty of the Squid, guys, because I'm now going to show you, if you go to trigger mode, I'm now going to show you why this sets it aside from any other products like this, and that is from Trig Random or Random Trigger. If I hold shift, what I could do is I could trigger some triggers like that, press play, which will sound great, that's fine. But let's say, for example, I'm sat in the studio, I've got multiple instruments coming in, I can't figure out what I'd like to use. So hold shift, if I click active, it's going to randomly give me some triggers and some ideas. Again, I'm going to hold it again. I like the sound of that. And again, you know, that's just from holding shift and active, and it's given me that bass line straight away. But you can take this even further by you looking at your encoders here. So your encoders, you've got pitch, gate, velocity, just on these first 3 here. You'll notice a random sign here. It works with that as well. So let's solo our bass line and our kick drum. Go to trigger mode. And I'm going to randomize some pitch in there. And then again, guys, that's literally because I've got it in a scale, it's going to continue to stay in that scale. Okay, I like the sound of that. Let's give it some randomize, some gate. So just cut the gate off towards the back end of that. Sounds really cool. So let's bring our elements back in. Good, and there we have it, guys. That's a bass line that's taken me no longer than a minute to create a really cool bass line riff. So now, guys, I'm gonna bring the MIDI log in, Korg MIDI log. Really great piece of kit. We've got a nice catchy bass line. We've got some basic drums. And now I want to add something here. Now, because I'm very techno related, but you know, you don't necessarily have to produce techno on this, you can produce anything. I want some sort of stabs that are coming in here. So I'm going to go to scale mode, give it a scale. I like those keys there, so click record. And there we have it. So if I go to trigger mode, it's now triggered in by the record mode. Let's solo this. Good, and that's all I want from my MIDI log. But because this is a polyphonic analog synthesizer, I can also go into chord mode and start playing chords with this. So I'm going to take a look at some of the chords. So this is so far what we've got. I'm going to delete that and we go to chord mode. Now that isn't going to sound great, but I've done this for a purpose. And that is because when I go to trigger mode now, that's obviously triggered on one step. Now, previous on our production range, you didn't have the opportunity to undo. If you hold shift and record, you can now undo, and it actually shows here what you've been doing, and you can select here which one you'd like to undo. So I'm just going to undo that. It's now come off. So when I press play, it allows me to start again. Cool, really like the sound of that, that's cool. Just bring the filter cutoff down a bit. Good. Now guys, what we've gone from is a completely blank track where we only had the use of a drum sound, and here's what we've come up with. Not the best production, but you guys get a good idea of how the ease of use and the workflow coming from the Toraiz Squid. Stay tuned for video 2, where I'm going to be taking a look at some of the more features with the Squid over here. Thanks for watching.